is my hobby. It is the main thing I like to do, and I am constantly found with a book in my hands. And yet there are 10 books here that I have been putting off for a while now for various different reasons. They are in no particular order other than the biggest books are at the bottom because I stacked them for the thumbnail. So let's get straight in. The first book is Red Sparrow by Jason Matthews. I actually have the entire trilogy of this because it was unhauled to me from my dad. He read and I think enjoyed the series, and I am intrigued, and yet I also don't care. Which is a great mixture. This is a spy novel, which my dad was in the army, so that's his sort of thing. He does enjoy it, and obviously this has been turned into a movie, lots of people have enjoyed it, but because it's not one that I actively chose to pick up myself, it has just been at the very back of the priority list, and I've not really thought about picking it up. So if any of you have read this and recommend it, please let me know so that this can be pushed up my TBR a little bit more. This is one of the ones where it's because I just don't know much about it and I didn't pick it, but I'm keeping it on my shelves just in case, the whole trilogy. So yeah, let me know. Then next up we have V.E. Schwab's A Conjuring of Light. This is the third book in the main trilogy of the Dark Shade of Magic series. There's now more in the series. I won't be reading any more. And this one is for 2 reasons. 1, it's quite big, and 2, I really struggle with Schwab's writing. This is over 650 pages, and whilst I can see the skill in Schwab's writing, and I think that what she does is well written, it never emotionally grabs me, and so I never care. I have a few books by her on my TBR because I really like her as a person and her concepts for her books are fascinating, so I actually have 3 books of hers sat on my TBR shelves right now, as well as a few different ones that I've read. And yeah, I really like the concepts, but I just never find myself caring about any of her characters, which I like to do when I'm reading books. I either need to hate them or love them, and I just don't care. So that, combined with this being quite a long one, means it has been shoved to the back of the TBR. So this one, no motivation will help me pick it up. I'm just going to have to get through it at some point. I want to finish the trilogy because, again, her plot writing, her plot planning is good. I want to see what happens. I just also don't care. For a very different reason, Bitterblue by Kristin Cashore. This is the 3rd book in the Graceling series, and I really enjoyed Graceling and Fire. I've been putting this off because every time I make a TBR, which I really like to stick to my TBRs, every time I make one I'm like, oh well, this is such an easy read, I know I'm going to read it really quickly and I'm really going to enjoy it, so I won't put it on the TBR because I can just pick this one up as an extra, like if I finish the TBR. And then I never do. I end up picking up other things because I'm like, oh, I'll save this one for when I need an easy read. And occasionally I do need an easy read. My life is getting busier, if I'm like travelling a lot and stuff, then I don't like to take, for example, The Conjuring of Light with me. I would take something that I find easier to get through, but there's a few of these and I just picked this one to represent it. But yeah, there's books that I'm like, oh, this will be an easy read, it's like a definite 4-star or higher, I'll keep this one for a rainy day, and the rainy day never comes. Klara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. I started reading this, God knows when, sometime in 2024. I'm 25 pages into it, and 25 pages is not enough, but in those 25 pages I'm curious about the storyline, but it's not grasped me. Like, the plot still intrigues me, same as it did on the blurb, but I'm not bothered, and so it's just never been picked up again. There's been no reason for this book to be added to a TBR, and I've never reached to pick it up because I'm always like, oh well, I wasn't keen on that one, and so it's just kind of languished, which is a pity because I usually do love translated Japanese novels. I am a bit more hesitant about Kazuo Ishiguro. I've heard mixed things about him, but this seems like my sort of thing. Like, we have a robot that's supposed to be an artificial friend, we have people hacking it, we have like humanity and stuff. This should be my sort of thing. And I just haven't picked it up. Another book that is very much my thing, and that is I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Harpman. This is translated, will it tell me nearby who, by Ross Schwartz, translated it from the French, and there are a couple of things that have put me off picking this one up, despite the fact that it is so small. One is that when I flicked through, and I'm just checking now, yeah, there's no chapters, and I really like I really like chapter books. The only books that I will read that don't have chapters in that I'm like very happy to do so is Discworld. I like chapter breaks. They give me that little dopamine hit of like, oh, I finished another chapter, whereas this one I won't get that dopamine hit until I have read all 200 pages. And that's, for me, as a fast reader, 2 hours of my life. Whereas I could get the dopamine hit every like 5 minutes. Like, who doesn't love a chapter break? But I understand that it's likely needed for the story. Also, it seems to be quite a dark story. Women who are deep underground, imprisoned in a cage, and they've been through a lot of trauma, and it never feels like the right time to pick it up. Like, if I'm looking to pick up a short book, then this is short, but this will be much easier to read because this one's fun and cozy and cute, and this one is a lot more of a difficult topic. I really do want to pick this one up. I'm really hoping that this is going to be a book that I love and that I'm going to harp on about once I've read it, but it never seems to be the right time, which is infuriating. Next up is The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter, and this one is because it's a big high fantasy series that I have not read before. So I love high fantasy, I love a big book, but this is from an author who I've never read anything from them before, and I have no knowledge of this world. It's compared to Game of Thrones and Gladiator, two things that I find interesting but don't love. I watched the entire Game of Thrones series and I've only read the first book. I think I'm going to love this. It's a Clutter-inspired world. Apologies if I said that wrong, with magic, dragons, demons and curses. It sounds perfect, but it's just a lot to dive into. This is the sort of thing where I'm going to need to purposefully add it to a TBR, and other books are older, and so they come before this one in the force yourself to read a book you're going to enjoy category. So yeah, I think I'm going to love this. I think I'm going to end up buying the whole series, however many books there may be. I only know that there's at least 2. And I think I'm going to love it, but it's just intimidating, despite the fact that I will enjoy it. Why am I intimidated by my own TBR? Next we have Girl, Woman, Other by Bernadine Evaristo. I've even tabbed this one up. Again, it's never made its way to a TBR. I've never been able to actually pin it down. With this being literary fiction, it is a lot more of a thought-provoking, use your brain read, and when I'm picking books up in addition to my standard TBR each month, I don't tend to go for the thought-provoking ones usually. I usually am like, oh, I'll just squeeze this in, and then I end up squeezing in quite a few. It doesn't tend to be, oh, I'll pick this up, and that's why. It is too thought-provoking, and so I am being lazy and not putting this 450-page book on my TBR because I'll have to think when I read it. In my defence, right now, the world, I don't want to think, okay? I want to escape. Don't make me think. And that's why this one is weighed. House of Open Wounds by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I have read a fair amount of Tchaikovsky lately if you've been watching my reading wrap-ups, but this is one of his fantasy books. It's the second book in the series, and I've been putting it's very shiny. I've been putting this one off because book 1, if it's going to tell me what it is, what was it? City of Last Chances? I enjoyed. Clearly I spent the money on the special edition for the second one, but it was a slow read. Like, I enjoy it, I think the world building is really interesting, I'm really curious about what's going to happen, but it was slow. And again, unless I can like force it onto a TBR for a reason, it's just going to sit there. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, there's 4 days left in this month, let me pick up this incredibly slow book. And so that's why this one has sat there. It's 600 pages. I'm sure I'm going to love it. It's also gorgeous. But reading the first book and knowing that it is a slow go through, sometimes I love a slow book, but I need to be prepared for it. So I just need to get this on a TBR at some point. The Ending Fire by Saara El-Arifi is the third and final book in the Final Strife series, and I am nervous. So this one, I've heard some people say negative things about it. For example, Becca from Becca and the Books was not a fan of this third book. However, me and her have very different reading tastes. Often if I like a book, I actively diss recommend it to her because I don't think she'll like it, and I have been right a few times. So theoretically that should be good. She didn't like it, so I should like it. But I have heard some other people as well saying that they weren't a fan of how this one ended. And I am also just really nervous. The Final Strife I gave 5 stars. It was the best book I have read in recent years. The Battle Drum, the second book, was like a 4.5. Wasn't quite as good, but still really enjoyed it. And so this is the third and final book in a series that could become a new favourite, and I am terrified that it's not going to be as good as I want it to be, and so it's just stuck in purgatory. And then the final book of these 10 that I have been avoiding for various reasons is, apologies in advance to anyone from Sweden, Svenska Däggdjur, Jämför och lekarna 46 arter. I don't know my numbers. By Martin Emtenäs and Jonas Källberg. Can you see already why this is the... So this is a kid's book, beautifully illustrated in my opinion. Oh, look at the little hedgehog. But it's all in Swedish. I don't speak Swedish. I'm trying to learn badly. Oh, look at the little... Oh, what is it called? It's called a knubbsäl. Oh, they're so cute. But yeah, the drawings are adorable. Didn't say, I was like, yeah, the title says what it is. I can't even understand the title. It is Swedish animals that you can find out in nature in Sweden, and they will be both similar and very different to what you can find here in the UK. Yeah, it's meant for kids. It's really cute. I picked it up when I was in Sweden. I read the first one and I really liked it, so I actually picked up 2 more when I went back to Stockholm the second time, and I know I'm going to like this. I also know it's going to be a massive slog to get through. I either have to sit with Google Translate and use it just for individual words, or I give up and put the whole sentence in and do it lazily, or I sit there with a dictionary, or I try and guess what it means from the context. And when I read the first one of these books, it was surprisingly like scientific sounding words for a kid's book, and if it was in English I wouldn't have batted an eye, but in Swedish I'm like, why are you using such scientific words? I don't know what this means. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. It's so cute, and I think it's going to be actually quite educational. We do have some of the same animals, so I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a tough read. It took me a month or 2 to read the first one. This is, for context, this is 76 pages, and it's going to take me a couple months to read. So that's why this one is delayed, because, dear God, help me. And these are, oh God, now I have to, see, this is the, restack them, Abby, restack them. I was going to hold them up, and the stack is backwards in terms of height, and they would go everywhere. So let's not do that. Let's have me restack them vaguely. And these are the 10 books that I've talked about today. There are a few others that I have been putting off for no good reason, really. Well, some of them have a good... Give me the excuse with the Swedish one, like, come on. But yes, I've been putting them off. I need to get to them, but I, both luckily and unluckily for these 10 books, have so many other books on my TBR that these just keep getting pushed back and back and back. Let me know down in the comments, any of these that I know that I need to push forward on my TBR. I am fully aware that Bitterblue is going to be one of the first ones that Carrie says I need to push forward onto my TBR. Look, I know this is realistically the least likely to get pushed because I know I'm going to enjoy it and I'll just pick it up at some point. I'm sorry, but the rest of them, please do let me know if I need to push them forward on my TBR and actually prioritise them at some point. I would love to hear your thoughts if you've read any of them, and thank you so much for watching, folks. I will hopefully see you in the next one. Bye!